Welcome to Silent Quill Diaries. Sometimes life delivers its sharpest turns not through grand events, but through the quiet knock of a door. That's what happened to me on my birthday, a night I expected to pass in silence, until my neighbor's son showed up. What unfolded was not what I could have ever planned, yet it shifted something deep inside me, something I thought I'd buried forever. It began on one of those autumn evenings where the world feels softer. The sun lingered on the horizon, casting everything in a forgiving golden glow. The air smelled of chimney smoke and fallen leaves, the kind of night made for warm blankets and long silences. I had just finished watering the mums on my porch when it hit me. It was my birthday, and I was alone. No calls from my kids, no dinner plans, not even a card in the mail. My ex-husband was long gone, and solitude had become a quiet companion I thought I'd accepted. But acceptance isn't the same as peace. Not really. Marilyn, my neighbor across the street, had called earlier that day. A last-minute work trip had pulled her out of town. Could I bring in her mail and water her plants? Of course, I'd agreed. It wasn't as if I had anywhere else to be. She hadn't mentioned that her son was in town. Caleb, tall, steady, in his mid-30s now. I'd seen him over the years, back and forth from Denver, always polite, always busy helping his mother with the porch or the lawn. A familiar face, yes, but never more than that. Until that night. When I walked across the street to tend to Marilyn's porch, I caught a shadow moving behind her curtains. I froze. The neighborhood was quiet, the kind of quiet where even a shifting leaf draws your attention. My heart gave a small start. Who was in her house? I knocked, cautious but curious. The door opened, and there he was, Caleb. "Hey, Miss Ellery," he said with a blink, his voice warm but surprised. I smiled despite myself. "Your mom didn't mention you'd be here. She called me last minute. Said she needed someone to keep an eye on things. I'll be here for the weekend." I should have said goodnight then, gone back to my lonely living room with its waiting wine and old movies. But there was something about the way the light fell across his shoulders, the calm in his voice. "Want to come in for a bit?" he asked. I was about to make some tea, or something stronger. For a moment, I nearly declined. Solitude had trained me well, and breaking from it felt strange. But there was another voice inside me, one quieter and long asleep, urging me forward. "Sure," I said. The house smelled of cedar and fresh laundry. Somewhere in the background, an acoustic guitar hummed a slow, almost mournful tune. I sat on the edge of the couch while Caleb disappeared into the kitchen, returning with 2 glasses of wine. "I figured this might be better than tea," he said with a grin. We clinked glasses, and I let the wine warm me. At first, our conversation danced around safe topics: his job, the neighborhood, his mom's obsession with hydrangeas. But as the minutes passed, the edges of small talk dissolved. He asked about me, my nursing days, my garden, the quiet of my now empty house. "You don't seem lonely," he said. I gave a soft laugh. "Don't I?" He shook his head. "You seem like someone who's made peace with things." I smiled, but it didn't reach my heart. "Peace and loneliness can live in the same house, Caleb." He looked at me then in a way I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't desire. Not yet. It was something else: awareness. Recognition. Like he saw something in me I'd forgotten was there. I shifted, ready to stand. "I should probably go." "You can," he said quietly. "Or, we can keep talking." And that was the moment. Everything in me knew I should leave, that stepping further into that space might change something I couldn't undo. But I didn't move. I stayed. We talked for hours. Childhood dreams. Missed chances. The ache of getting older. At one point, his voice dropped into something softer. "Do you ever feel like life passed you by while you were busy being responsible?" The question landed heavy in my chest. "Yes," I whispered. "I do." He nodded, eyes steady. "That's how I feel lately." Like I blinked, and here I am wondering what I missed. The silence stretched, but it wasn't uncomfortable. We didn't touch. We didn't even sit close. Yet a quiet current ran between us, undeniable. "Do you think it's ever too late to start again?" he asked. I didn't answer. Maybe I couldn't. But I stayed. And that alone meant something. By the time I walked home, the night had deepened into stillness. I slipped into my own bed, wondering if I'd imagined it all. Nothing had happened. No lines crossed. And yet, something inside me had shifted. For the first time in years, I felt seen. The next afternoon, I convinced myself it had been a fleeting moment, nothing more. But when I heard his voice, my breath caught. "Hey, Leia." I turned. Caleb stood at the edge of my yard, holding something. "I brought your coffee mug back," he said with a smile. As I reached for it, our fingers brushed, just for a second. But that spark was there again. Not lust. Not fantasy. Something deeper. "Thanks," I said softly. He chuckled. So, I didn't dream it either. I could have laughed it off. Waved. Walked back inside. But I didn't. "You hungry?" I asked instead. His brows lifted. "Are you inviting me to lunch, Miss Ellery?" I rolled my eyes, heat rising in my cheeks. "Stop calling me that." And yes, I made too much chicken salad anyway. The corners of his mouth tugged into a grin as he stepped closer. And in that moment, with the autumn light spilling across my yard and his eyes holding mine, I realized that my birthday hadn't been lonely after all. It had been the start of something unexpected, something I hadn't even known I was waiting for. Not fireworks. Not some grand, reckless romance. But a spark. Quiet, undeniable. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything.